Alright, so this is episode 2 of the Drift Car 2 build. Now, in the previous episode, we found out, by switching the hoods on the car, that the front end of the car was a little bit messed up. Now, the previous owner told me that there was a small accident in the front end that pushed back like the core support about 6 inches in one of the corners. And so that still wasn't pulled completely straight. And so there was 2 options I had to go with that. I could, number one, fix the stock core support and, kind of pull everything out and fix it and, get it so all the body panels line up and the hood lines up. Or option number 2 is I could tube the front end. Now here's the thing. I was already planning to tube the front end eventually on the car, and so I could either fix the stock core support and everything like that, get everything to line up, and then eventually cut it out and tube it, or I could just go right from the get-go and tube the front end of the car, and I don't waste any of my time, trying to pull out the stock core support that was already messed up in the first place. So basically, we're going to be tubing the front end of the car, and in order to prep for doing that, I need everything to be gone from the shock tower forward on the car, so that way, when I cut out the front half of the car, nothing's attached to it. So this episode, we're just going to be unbolting everything from the shock tower forward. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is remove the battery. This thing's real. Alright. Now whenever batteries are moved and sitting around, you just want to cover one of the terminals. Just so that way you don't have any accidents. Next thing I'm going to do is remove the front bumper. To start with that, there's some 10mm bolts you need to remove from inside, which you can reach from behind here. Then undo that, and that basically undoes the connection between the fender and the bumper. Usually it's 10. This side's done now. Now, usually there's an attachment for the bumper at the bottom there. I have it on my bumper with just zip ties, and I guess so did this previous owner actually. Zip ties there, but it's not around anything. But if you were to remove it, you would have to undo that. Now there's just the 4 that's supposed to be up top over here, and that's all that's left. What should be left. Alright, that should be all that's left. And usually you would have some signals over here, except that this doesn't have any, so I didn't need to disconnect anything. Next thing that we're going to do is remove the fenders. So there's the fender, one of the screws for the fender. It's in the door jamb. That's the first one I'm going to take off. The next one to do is all the way back here, except you have to reach it from this side. Now, along the bottom of the fender, there should be 2 more. One of them is not even there, and there's another one right there, so I'm going to remove that now. Okay, and now there's one over here that is hidden by the bumper usually. Now that pretty much everything else is loose, along the top here, there's a couple bolts that should be here. This one, the stud broke off of it, so they welded it. This one back here also broke off. They didn't really do anything with that. And this one here still has it, so I just have to remove one. And if this is all planned, it should come off pretty easily. Oh wait, that's right, they welded it. Piece of junk weld. Yeah, there we go. Ah, that's poor weld. Alright. See, this side has them. That's how it should be. Actually, I forgot about this, but there's also this tubing right here that brackets and mounts to the fender. That's right under there. Go ahead and disconnect that. Most 240s that I've had, that side didn't have it, and both of those on that one were broken. So, yeah. Alright, so this is how the front end sits now without the fenders and without the front bumper. Alright, I just dropped the battery back in because I'm going to start disconnecting stuff to make the car not run anymore. And so, I'm going to just start it up for you guys for one last time before everything gets disconnected from the engine. Okay, first thing I'm going to start removing on this front end right here is the intake. So this right here is a resonator box, which is supposed to like reduce intake noise, and that's kind of like why Nissan made it. But basically it's just a box that the intake connects to. So, removing this. See? A box, literally just one hole that leads nowhere. Except up to the intake. Now I'm going to go ahead and remove this piece of intake pipe that leads down into that resonator box, which there's a Phillips head right here for it, as well as one right here. Unscrew this. So there's 4 bolts that are also on the math right here. There's also one connection right here, and this goes back to your whole emissions area. Alright, there we go. Performance intake. Alright, now the whole air filter system is taken out. Alright, next I'm going to remove the mass airflow sensor right here, which is just like this one little clip that pops off.
Are you recording?
There's a connector for that. And then there's just one little Phillips head right here that connects. Alright, that's it. Okay, now to remove the rest of the intake piping. 2 hoses. Okay, and then there's just one little flathead hose clamp over here. And then there's another hose clamp under here. And then of course just covering the intake pipe so nothing gets in there. Okay, so now I'm going to remove the charcoal canister, which there's the clamp right here for it. Okay, then there's 3 hoses for it. Okay, there's also a hose that's supposed to go somewhere else, which I think is just a breather down there. Okay, and just to clear things up, I'm going to go ahead and remove the radiator brackets. Okay, and now because I'm going to be dealing with all the fan shroud and the radiator, and I want to take off the hoses and everything like that, I'm going to go ahead and drain the radiator so there's no more coolant in it. And then that way I can take off all the hoses and not have to worry about anything. This is the drain for the radiator. So I'm going to go ahead and unscrew that. And of course I have a pan underneath it to catch all of it since it's coolant, and that should not run into the street. Alright, so now while we're waiting for it to drain, I've taken off the radiator cap so that way the coolant can flow out easier and faster. And so now I'm going to go ahead and then disconnect the overflow tank and get that out of the way. Alright, it's done draining now. I'm going to go ahead and then put back in the plug. Alright, now for the sake of clearing things up, I'm going to remove this upper radiator hose right here. That's just 2 hose clamps. You don't have to go too much, kind of just needs to be loose. Actually, yeah, no, that should be it. That was it.
Right there.
See how it's kind of like stuck to the hose sometimes, so it doesn't want to move.
Trying to hold hand though?
Yeah, that's okay.
There you go. You're taking the hose off, right?
Yeah.
Alright, well.
What? You got
A double? You want to do a double? Alright.
Alright. So rusty.
God damn.
Check out how rusty that is. That is ridiculous. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and try and remove this fan shroud. So for this one, there's 2 10mm at the top. Just move these over.
This one.
This one. Move it over. Broke that out. Alright, so there's the top. Alright, so now there's 4 10mm bolts that hold on this clutch fan, so we're going to go ahead and remove that. Okay, so we're using a screwdriver and leveraging it in between the other nuts, so then that way we can go ahead and then loosen the pulley, or the fan. God son of a... Alright, you spin. I got it. I don't need you, John. I don't need you.
Alright then, I'm out.
I don't need you, John.
Get in the Rari and leave. Sick guys. Look at it, flick it over.
Oh no, okay.
Drop it in the coolant!
It's gonna drop harder than my GPA right now.
Hey dude, you said I could use your shirt and you as a...
Alright, so there's the clutch fan out now. And now we're just gonna go ahead and then put these nuts back on to hold the pulley in place, and then also we keep track of where these nuts are. Alright, so now we're gonna get rid of the fan shroud right here. Alright, now we got this out right here. Alright, now the shroud is out, and there's this 1, 2, and 3, and that's where the 3 screws held this in place. Alright, so now we're going to remove the lower radiator hose so we can take out the radiator. Basically, it's just a hose clamp which needs to be undone from the bottom. Then, of course, the hose loosened just like everything else.
It's a little... Damn, that's all that rust.
I don't know what it was. What did it just drop? Okay. Now we can take out the radiator. Okay, that there's nothing left to drain. Now I'm going to remove the lower radiator hose. Here's the AC fan, which was, in front of the, or actually behind the clutch fan. The connector right here just slides onto this one little pin. And after that, it can just be disconnected. So there's the AC fan disconnected now. Alright, now I'm going to work on removing the AC system. So the first thing I'm going to do is take out the condenser, which I'm going to get loose by removing the 2 10mm screws holding it in. I'm going to go ahead and then disconnect one of the lines down here. Okay, that's one of the lines disconnected down there. Now I'm going to disconnect another line from the condenser, and that's over here, and that's a 12mm. Now this line is loose from the condenser as well. Now with the 2 lines going to the condenser removed, we can go ahead and remove the condenser. Now I'm going to disconnect this for the AC line in the front. Now I'm going to disconnect that line to where it goes to the firewall. That line is free, and now we can go to and disconnect the refrigerant canister. Alright, now I'm going to disconnect the electrical line that goes to this canister. That disconnected, I can go ahead and then unbolt the canister now. But for the ease of taking all this out, I'm going to go ahead and then just unbolt the line. Okay, the next AC line I'm going to remove is this fat one. All of that just to get this one thing out. Alright, now it's out though. Back over to this side of the engine bay. It's time to remove the rest of the line. Alright, now there's just one line left for the AC right there. Undo that one, I believe 10mm, and then that fat line that connects down there is going to be disconnected. It's actually a 12mm, but regardless. Okay, here's the 12mm for it. Alright, there we go. Okay, now there's one last AC line, which runs over here. It's right here. That's the connection for it. Okay, there we go. Now just to clear up the front end some more, I'm going to go ahead and remove the horns. Okay, so there we go. We have the wires labeled for them, horns out, and the screws put back in their place so we know where they go. Okay, next thing I'm going to remove is the ambient switch, which is related to the air conditioning, and that's up front right here. So this just snapped right here, 100% my fault, because I was using a deep ball socket, and on top of that an extension. You can get a whole bunch of twisty action. Anyways though, this is removed now. This front end I don't think I would be using anyways, so I'm going to leave that there for now. Okay, so now that is out. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and remove the headlights. Onto the headlight here, there's one other bolt, as well as one in the back there, that bolt. So I'm going to go ahead and remove those. Alright, under this plastic cover, there's one more bolt. There's one side one right here. Alright, now there's just one more connector over here for the headlight. Now we can go ahead and remove this. And there we go. Just a quick tip for you guys, all of these screws or anything like that that I removed, I went ahead and put into baggies, so that way I know exactly where they go. So when I go ahead and put it in months from now, I don't get lost. So that's just an organizational tip right there. Also, the harness is laying over here on the ground all dirty, but as you notice, everything is labeled on here. And so that way when I go ahead and put it back, you know, whenever the car is done, I know exactly, you know, this one goes for the bumper, this goes for a windshield washer, and no confusion. So just another quick tip on that, you know, just be careful, organize your stuff. You save more time in the future when you do so. Now I'm kind of just going to go with the flow and just start unclipping the harness from under here. Alright, now just to remove the cable for the head latch, I'm going to go ahead and remove the hood latch area and then, see what's up behind it. Pop it out of there, pop it out of there. Alright, now that's free to go. Now since there's no need for this being separate, I'm just going to go ahead and bolt it back in. Now I'm mainly just going to start unbolting stuff for the fuse box, as well as unclipping parts of the harness and stuff like that. Alright, now there is a ground over here. Just want to point out because it seems like something that would be forgotten easily. Anyways, now I'm still going to just continue, unplugging random connectors and then undoing the harness. Alright then, there's that. Here's a ground right here. Okay then, original remember. I can't speak right now. Second one has a ground connected to it. I'm going to disconnect these plugs down here. Okay, that's for the battery terminal disconnected. This is the top switch, middle switch, alright, and the bottom switch. Finally. It's connected right on the back. Okay, let me label it. Now there's also the negative terminal over here that goes to the fuse box. You're going to disconnect that. Or I mean positive, not negative. What was I thinking? Alright, now in order to take out the harness out of the engine bay, you need to fit the fuse box through this opening. However, it's too wide with all the fuses and everything in it. So the way to go about that, these are all relays, huh? Anyways, so you take apart the casing, and then once the casing is taken apart, you can go ahead and take out the connectors, and basically there are two pieces to the connector. There's a top portion, which there's a clip here. You push the clip in, take the connector out the front. You can see them all there. Then after that, it's kind of just this that needs to get popped out, and the way that gets popped out is there's just a connector over here, a clip over here. You kind of have to push in, and then take this out, and then basically you can slip all of these out. And then once all these are out, you can go ahead and then fit them through the hole over here, and then reassemble the fuse box over on this side. Alright, now what I'm going to do is just label all of them with a Sharpie so I know where they go. In order to slide this harness out, I also still need to disconnect this, and it's connected to one of the emissions equipment. Alright, so I disconnected the harness over on this side. This one connector went to one of the emissions components. This one over here went for the AC. Alright, so here it is. Kind of just put everything back in their slots. And now I can go ahead and then put the cover for the bottom on, as well as the cover for the top. And there you go. That one's now out of there, and now all I have to do is manage to get the other fuse box out of there as well. Yeah. So basically this can be taken apart into two pieces, and that's how I slid it through there without really having to disassemble this, except for these two barely pushing them out. So I'm going to go ahead and clip this back into place, and then start sliding these back in. Pull out this windshield washer line. Alright, I'm also going to remove the bracket for the charcoal canister. Okay, and that's out. Next thing to go about removing is the ignition coil. Okay, we'll go into the distributor right here. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and put this screw back in. Alright, so there you go. Ignition coil is now out. Alright, now there's a ground that goes off of the mass airflow sensor, and it connects right here to the shock tower. That's right there. Just going to go ahead and then undo that, and then this is already loose. I'm going to go ahead and release this connector here, and then you know, a lot of this should be good. Alright, so all of this now go ahead and be tossed on top of the engine. Alright, so now I'm going to go and start working away at the emissions. Alright, now this is loose right here. Go ahead and remove the hose. Now it's just a matter of removing these vacuum lines. So with that out now, all of this can come out. Alright, so these two lines going for the emissions, I'm going to go ahead and put on top of the engine now. Alright, next thing I'm going to do is remove this power steering reservoir. Now with the hoses loose, there's already a drain pan down there, or an oil pan, so I can go ahead and catch all the fluid that drops. But now I'm going to go ahead and unbolt the reservoir. Alright, now for the power steering, there is this connection right here that I'm going to be removing, and this line also runs down and it connects with another line, and that just has a small little fitting right there that I'm going to go ahead and undo. Then once that's undone, go ahead and remove the line that goes to here, as well as the connector that goes down to that junction, which will remove all of this. Okay, for the time being, I've forgotten about the lower one. Now I'm going to go ahead and remove the 2 bolts holding the hose in place down onto the tension rod bracket. Alright, so finally, after removing that one line right there, I got all these power steering lines as well as this one connector out. Now I feel the front end now is basically ready to do work on. I just need to get rid of this one last line, which is for the charcoal canister. And so this rung runs here, all along the firewall, down to the other side. Right down to that hose down there. And so I'm just going to get some pliers, remove that clamp, push it down, and then be able to take out this line. Ah, sweet. Like that. Alright. I'm also going to remove the negative for the battery, which is just the ground. Now I think one of the last things to do, I just need to disconnect this one little zip tie holding this harness in place. That way I can push it back farther and then, you know, have enough clearance to do all the work up front. Alrighty then, this front end looks clear. Alright, got some simple green over here, and I'm gonna start spraying. So this car was hit here originally when the guy I bought it from, the person before that apparently I think got in an accident with it, and he said it was about 6 inches in. And so for the front bumper support, they went ahead and just welded it. They went and welded it to the car. They went ahead and welded it to the car instead of installing with bolts, because of course in an accident usually tears stuff. So of course, you know, the bolts tore themselves out, and here's on the non-accident side. That's how it's supposed to look. So I'm going to go ahead and remove these 2 bolts, and then on that side I'm just going to kind of wiggle the bumper support off in order to go ahead and break those welds, and you know, then the bumper support should come off. Okay, now this side is free. Now I kind of just need to go ahead and get the other side loose now. Alright, so that's the area that got hit in the accident. There's the stud that broke off, and so then they just welded it right here and over here, because this nut and bolt, there's a nut that's supposed to be welded on the back here. And then there's a bolt that, you know, you just thread in, obviously. I'm assuming that, you know, obviously sheared this area, so then they just welded it. This is where the bolt's supposed to go. That is where it's just an empty hole. Then that is where it slips over the stud, and then you put the nut on top. Oh, finally that's out. Alright, so yeah, the front end of the car is cleared now, so it's basically ready to get cut out and then, you know, start preparing for tubing the front end of the car. Now, if you have any questions about anything, go ahead and leave it in the comments. Now, some of you guys don't always have a reply button under your comments, so I can't reply to you guys. But otherwise, if you do have a reply button and you are asking a question, I will, like, 99% respond to you. Alright, and if you like the video or if you just want to make my day, you can go ahead and give me a like. And, of course, if you want to stay updated on the whole entire build, you can go ahead and subscribe. Also, just a heads up for you guys, you can use the coupon code LADRIFT at checkout at whatmonstersdo.com, and you get 15% off your order. And, you know, What Monsters Do, they have, like, a whole bunch of dope shirts like this that, you know, there's a 18240 shirt, there's like a It Started in Japan. Yeah, they have just a whole bunch of cool stuff. So you can use coupon code LADRIFT at checkout. You get 15% off. That's pretty dope. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and the build's gonna get like pretty interesting. I also forgot to tell you guys that you know, if you go ahead and add me on Snapchat, I do you know, live updates on the car, and you can actually see where the car is at right now. And also, if you want to see when I'm going to the next track event or what I'm up to, you can go ahead and follow me on Instagram or like the Facebook page. Then I'll put up pictures of, you know, when I'm going to the track, you know, how the car is doing, everything like that. So, all right, now, okay, bye, bye. So it's just like one 10mm. Other way, John, do you know how to use ratchet? Jesus Christ. Okay.
We gotta edit that out. We'll start over. We're gonna start over.
No. Leave it. Keep saying the fun. Keep saying the fun, guys. Keep saying the fun.